Simba, look out at the yard. Everything that the porch light touches is yours, except, hey, listen, except for the trash can, alright? The trash can at the end of the driveway, do not touch it. Ah, yes, my king, my tiger king, you are the chosen one. You will be the
just back off.
I'm just having some fun here,
right.
but come on, give me a little kiss, man.
Do not sniff me.
I'm just playing with you. Alright, man, I don't need you.
My name's not even Simba.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Popcorn Talk. Looking forward to talking about this one, and yeah, let's just introduce everybody. Travis, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about this one. I enjoyed it. I got so excited when I found out it was Alfred Hitchcock. So looking forward to talking to you all about this one. But yeah, no, glad to be here.
Yep. Evening, Shieldwall. How are you doing?
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be here. Yeah, this one to me is a little different than your average Alfred Hitchcock movie. As far as like, usually it's like a mystery or like a thriller suspense thing, and this was more of like a character study almost of the people on the lifeboat, if you will. But and also interestingly, it's from 1944, so it's in the middle of the war, right? Is when this was filmed. So that's also a consideration when you think about characters and some of their mindsets. But yeah, looking forward to get into this.
Alrighty.
Henry?
Oh, looks like we might have lost Matt.
Can you guys
there,
hear
Matt?
me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
There's these occasional lag. Like every couple seems things freeze on my end. It could be the hospital Wi-Fi or whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, I'd seen this film like once before. Let's say when I was like 15 or 20. Thought it was okay. While I respect Hitchcock's work and all his films are always excellent productions, some of them are less appealing to me than others. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
no. I think you're kind of cutting out a little bit, Matt. But
Yeah, I think you might have cut out a little bit.
yeah. Anyway,
that changes anything.
yeah, you keep cutting out, man. It's okay. It's probably just the Wi-Fi there.
Let me try to reset it. I'll be back.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, we there's always the cameo for Hitchcock. Did you catch the cameo, Shieldwall?
Actually, he was he on the German boat when they rowed out?
No, huh? He was on the newspaper.
He's in the newspaper. Okay.
It's a weight loss ad.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
And it's like the sharpest spot on the newspaper. Yeah, it's
I
good.
laughed so hard when I saw that.
Honestly, this felt so little like a Hitchcock movie to me that I forgot that he was the director while I was watching it. So I didn't even look for it. I was busy like trying to keep up with who the characters were and what they were doing. Hey, Frank, how's it going?
Oh, hey, Frank.
So if you look at the credits for the movie, they actually like had people that had gone through this experience, like actually advising the production, and they had like some merchant marine guy that, so they got all the technical stuff correct. Same with the lifeboat. It's a, you know what I mean,
Well,
like that style.
I don't know if you caught it, but you can see when they change certain camera angles that the boat size and shape quite a bit. Um,
Right.
so like
Yeah.
I almost like Hitchcock was doing it on purpose, but because it was so obvious. But it could also have been just back then,
Mhm.
simulating filming on water would be more difficult type of thing.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. They probably had a set that was not even on water at all. Like it wasn't in water at any point, and then they had another set where they were literally floating on water the whole time
Yeah.
that they were filming,
Yeah.
and then moving the boat around and stuff. And then they had like people with buckets off to the side throwing water on them.
Yeah.
Um, but I thought the sea scenes were really good. They were really believable, um, especially when they had that storm part where they were in the storm.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently they had like 4 different boats
Yep.
for different angles and shots.
And that makes sense why the boats look different from different angles.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Right. Sorry, I had to jump out for a second. Come back in. There we go.
And he was apparently on loan from his normal studio with doing something for 20th Century Fox on this.
Who was?
Alfred.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie is one of those movies that just jumps right in, and then once it's over, it's over. It's gone.
Yep.
That's how
Yeah.
a lot of movies were back then. Like the Wolfman movie, Dracula, and the 30s Dracula, the 30s Mummy. They
Well,
just get to the end and then boom, they're done. There's no like now you're waiting for after credit scenes and all kinds of stuff.
well, they've only like if you I don't know if you were with us Shieldwall when I made this comment when we were reviewing. I think it was the Mummy. The films. It's like in the 20s and early 30s, films were like the perfect length. And every decade they've added 5 to 10 minutes on of the movie that you can edit out and it wouldn't change much. Like there's only about 5 minutes maybe in the middle of this film where I could say, okay, we can cut a little here or there, you know what I mean, but not
Hmm.
greatly. And then like when you get to the 50s, then it's 10 minutes of extra crap, and then the 60s, it's like you know what I mean. It's like every decade there's more. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. So the movie opens with um, it showing that a ship got is sinking. If you don't know, like when the movie opens, like if you don't know when the movie was shot, like you were just watching this on TV and it randomly popped up, you'd have no concept of like, is this a shipwreck or they hit an iceberg or something or
Right.
whatever. But this guy's life vest, if you know the kind of the history, kind of gives it away
Yep.
because
Yeah, U-78.
the first box shows that it's going to the UK from America, right? If you go to the very first scene
Right.
shot, it's a box floating in the water. Well, that's after
Ship goes under.
the
Yeah.
ship goes under, right? And then it shows that guy, and he's it's obviously a German life vest, and then it shows the New Yorker, so you know that you know probably came from the East Coast, and then it had so the things in the water are giving it away.
Right.
There's civilians. It's not like all military equipment or anything like that, um, which is kind of weird. I don't know if people could book passage on like a cargo ship that was going to be going across in a military convoy. Maybe you could, or maybe you knew people and you got on that way. Um,
Yeah.
She was a journalist. She would have got. They
right.
would have carried her for.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Right, because she's going to do some reporting or something. Plus, if you once you get into the character, you know she's been world traveling. She's kind of famous, and that way she probably had connections. Yeah, see, Great Britain from it says ship from New York, USA, fragile. So, and it's American Red Cross. So this is one thing is telling you a lot of information without you having to be told. And today they would have, I don't know how they would do it because whoever shot the movie wouldn't think your average person was smart enough to figure it out. And of course they got apples and food and stuff. Because that was another big thing is that they were shipping a lot of food to England too.
Mhm.
And
I can't tell what that is.
that is some type of gear, like wrapped up. I thought it was like a duffel bag or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
And then you
It looks
got
like I guess what I call a rucksack, like stuff with like your portable mess kit and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff in one bag.
yeah,
sea
something
bag.
like that. Yep. And then you got cards, and then I can't make out what that is. Looks like a diploma or something.
Yeah.
And then you got wooden spoons and chess or checkers board. And then right, that guy. Now, some of that stuff, right, might also be off of, as we find out later on, the German submarine. Because what happened was is this particular ship was most likely a Liberty ship that by 1944 they were when the movie came out, unless they're setting this earlier than that, those ships were usually armed by that point. They had their own gun crews
Mhm.
and everything. So the concept is that the that they either got torpedoed or they more than likely what the ships would do, what the subs would do is because they don't want to use their torpedoes because they only had so many, is they would surface and had a deck gun, and most of the cargo ships were defenseless. If they were in a convoy, maybe they had destroyers and stuff like that, but most of them, and especially in the beginning of the war, were totally defenseless. So what the U-boat would do is it would surface, man their deck gun, and then sink the ship that way because it was much more efficient than using limited
Yeah.
torpedoes.
Yeah.
And so one of the guys makes a comment about how the gun crew on the cargo ship was able to hit the submarine before they got shot. So the sub surfaced, they got their deck gun in action, and then they first shot took out like the captain's, the control point in the radio room of the cargo ship, but then the cargo ship shot back and then hit the sub and caused it to get damaged, and then they had exchange of fire, and then the cargo ship caught fire and exploded or whatever and sunk, but so did the U-boat. So I'm wondering if some of that debris that we see in the beginning there is from like the U-boat because there's a dead
Mhm.
Yeah.
guy with the
Yeah.
with the, and if you can look at it right, you can see their kinds of life vests are like these big like quilted looking padded jacket looking thing, whereas the dead guy, his is more of a harness deal, right, on his back, because
Right.
theirs they wear is almost like a puffer vest or something, you know, that like in
Mhm.
Back to the Future is why they thought that that what's his name was in the Coast Guard because they thought it was a life vest um, that you wear
A
like
life
that.
preserver.
Yeah, yeah, life preserver.
Yeah. She's like, I took all the pictures of the people dying and everything.
Right, on her camera. Yep. This guy, she pulls out of the water. He was covered in oil because he was in the engine room,
Yeah.
and well, he's part of the engine crew. He was getting coffee, so he wasn't. And he states that a lot of people were trapped under on the lower decks, and the ship went down very fast too. But the steward Joe helped her and got all her bags into the boat. That's why she looks clean. She's wearing a mink coat. She has all her bags and typewriter and all kinds of stuff. And but they also state that they were targeting the Germans were targeting the lifeboats and stuff too, like shooting it with the guns and
Yeah.
things. And this one got damaged as well. And you know what? When this, I'd never seen this movie before, and right when this, they were picking these people up, but I saw that like floating dead German guy with the German thing, and I was like, oh, they're probably gonna pick up like a German guy, and it's gonna be like a
Yeah.
contentious point. I didn't realize it was gonna be the dude they actually picked up. I thought it was gonna be like a young
Yeah.
sailor or something like that. But okay, so she's this famous reporter lady that's world traveled. She's been to all these different countries, speaks all these languages and stuff. Then this guy is a is like a is a rich. He owns shipyards and factories and all these things. Not sure why he was on the ship. I think he was going to London for like financial reasons or something, business reasons. And then
He said he had a bunch of boxes
of
of
cigars.
cigars, and he grabs the one with one cigar in it.
Right. Yep. But see, yeah, see how his life vest is? It's just like cloth with buoyant material kind of sewn into it. And those kinds of vests can get waterlogged after a while, and they won't be as buoyant
Yeah.
anymore. So they're only good for a little while.
This is the pre-rubber era, you know.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Now I think maybe the reason it looked like a little weird harness on the German guy is because those might have been actually like bladder filled, like the aerial. Like if you were a pilot and you
Yeah.
went down, you had one that it actually inflated. It had a little. You pull the thing and it popped it. Depending on what country you're from, but yeah, these are the same kind of life vest jackets that they kind of had on the Titanic and stuff. But hey, if it works, you know. That's the other thing. He all covered in oil.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy's got a leg injury too.
Right. You know what's interesting about a movie like this? For the majority of it, it had to be cheap to film because you're only really using one set. It's almost like an elevator, stuck in an elevator kind of, like TV shows would do that. Where if they didn't have a lot of money or they wanted to save money, they would write an episode where like some two people are stuck in an elevator and they just talk the whole time. This can be really fun though too because you really have to write interesting stories in order for it. Like this, right?
Yeah.
This could have gone bad if you just have like 6 people sitting in a boat. It's all character and conversation driven. It's not like jet fighters flying overhead dropping flares and alien laser beams and stuff.
Yeah, this lady actually drowned her baby.
You know, if let's say I had been there when they were writing this film, to introduce a little more grayish area, I would have had the German guy be the one who rescued them.
Yeah, there's a lot of
You know?
different interesting things they could have done with this.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, it is 1944, height of the war. They're not. What month did this come out in that year? I have to look it up. There was, a lot of different considerations. Let's see.
January? Yeah, January 28th.
January? Okay, so D-Day hadn't happened yet. So at this point, when this movie was, and you got to figure it was shot probably in the fall of the year prior, or,
Yeah.
and they
most of
cranked
the
them out
production
pretty
was-
quick back then. So maybe November into December, and then they put it out. But even then, at that point, they had the Axis had a grip on Europe, right?
So
and it could have been anybody's war as far as anybody knew. So I think
Oh,
that's why the writing was a little different. They really couldn't have done the German guy rescuing thing. I don't think. Although it would have
It was
been
Alfred
really
Hitchcock.
interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
I'm saying it's Alfred Hitchcock. He would, I mean, he's open. He was open to a lot of
Oh, right.
ideas that push the barriers. You know.
yeah.
I don't think the studio would have gone for it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, oh yeah, they would have been like, yeah, let's do all kinds of subversive twists that no one would ever see coming. But
Yeah.
yeah. So one of
Now,
the
the nurse, I kind of looked some of these people up. The nurse's last role was in a Cheech and Chong movie. An old lady in a Cheech and Chong
Yeah.
movie.
So one of them is a Red Cross nurse, um, and so she's actually, I think, like in the military. Uh, Whereas most of the rest of the crew members are merchant marine, which is they're they're kind of civilians, but not really. Um, but they're part of the crew on those cargo ships that are vital to going back and forth. Um, and what's crazy is later on they start talking about it, like almost 3 out of the 4 crew members have been torpedoed, like more than once. One guy even spent 44 days on a life raft, got rescued, and still went back to doing this. I would have been after 44 days. I've been like, I don't know, man. I think I'm out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I did my time. Uh, but people were this war was on, that kind of thing. Um, so they pick up this guy and he's German because he's like Dankeschön, and they're like, oh man. And all the characters each have like a little backstory to them and a different kind of personality, and it goes into it pretty quickly the way they talk about it. But how they get the information out of it is some of it is direct questioning and some of it is conversational, um, as far as what's going on. And realistically, out of the merchant marine crew, there would have already been a chain of command. Like one of these guys would have had some kind of seniority
Yeah.
over the other one.
And she happens to speak German,
Right.
so she's the translator.
And they're trying to figure out what they want to do with the German guy. Also, I don't know. He seems a little portly to be a submarine captain, in my opinion. But
Dude, Captain Litherland was a portly captain on my submarine, so.
yeah, but this is like World War II and stuff.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's not like they had all kinds of, I don't know. It just seemed a little different. Maybe this was like the only guy they could get that actually spoke German.
That's Walter Slezak. You've seen him in a lot of stuff.
Wait, this guy here or the German captain?
The German captain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been in a
I
lot
mean,
of
like
things.
if you watched Batman in the '60s, he was the Clock King. He was in oh god, the one of the Wonderful World of Brothers Grimm. Off the top of my friggin' head. I mean, like I said, he was in one of the early Sinbad movies. You've seen him in a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? You just maybe don't recognize him from playing the portly captain on the Lifeboat. It's like, Then again, there's a whole bunch of these actors in here. You'll see that there are tons of roles that you just. The dude who played the guy who got his leg cut off, he was Riley from Life of Riley.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember that was a very popular TV show back then.
Yeah, I
Right.
recognized Hume Cronin right away. I used to watch him in Batteries Not Included and
Yeah.
Cocoon.
Oh yeah, yeah. I now that you aged his face for me, I didn't even think about him. You know.
Right.
Yeah, because I remember him as an older actor,
Yeah.
um, not a younger actor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this scene right here, like, they figure out he was a crew member on the submarine.
Brewster's Millions. I remember. Sorry for interrupting. Hugh Cronin. That's one of the funniest films I've ever seen, and Hugh Cronin was in that movie. Like, now you get me going here. Sorry.
No, that's all right. But I was gonna say that. So they're like, hey, he's just following orders. Some of the because they were like, hey, let's throw this guy overboard or whatever. And some people are like, hey, we can't do that. He's a prisoner of war. He was just following orders. And like, um, the reporter lady, she was like, it's war. This is, you know what I mean? There's like certain things that you can do in war. Like you see an enemy ship, you're allowed to sink it. But then there are also rules. Like if there are men in the water, you're not just supposed to randomly machine gun them down. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
now non-combatants. They're you know by rules of maritime law, you're supposed to pick them up. At the bare minimum, you're not just supposed to like start randomly shooting them and stuff
Hmm.
in the water. So, but ideally, you're supposed to pick them up and render them aid because you've sunk the ship, which was part of it. But now it's just like a person that bails out of an airplane. If as long as they're not a paratrooper, right? If it's a pilot that is out of a disabled plane, you're not supposed to shoot them while they're in the parachute.
Yeah.
If they're a
Well,
paratrooper landing and they're gonna and it's like basically attacking you, you're authorized to shoot them. Uh, but anyway, the point is that they're having this philosophical debate. Like this guy's a German. He just sunk the ship that killed her baby. Right now, here's the question that I have: is if they knew that there were civilians on there with like babies and stuff, would they still sink the ship? You know what I mean?
yes.
I think they
Yeah,
would,
they
They
would.
would.
but
It's just the way we would.
yeah, it just but that's the tragedy of war, because when you're out there in a submarine, you have no idea who all's on there, you know. So, but she loses her baby, and then she kind of goes a little crazy over it. The other thing that the movie does good is it shows like the deterioration of people's like uniforms and composure and their hair. Like the reporter lady, she's got makeup on and her hair's done nice, and she gave her fur jacket to this lady, and there's a point where she's like, "Oh, it's so luxurious," because she's from England. She went to America. She had a baby there, um, and she's gonna take the baby back to show her husband. It's because he's like back from the war or whatever, and then so she was. That's why she's on the boat.
Yeah, and they have to. She wants to go and jump over the boat to look for the baby, so they have
So
to tie her up.
yeah, she's kind of hysterical and stuff, but contrary to what a lot of people think about, how women were portrayed in older movies, a lot of the other two women on the boat are logical the way they think for the most part. You know what I mean? Especially for the situation that they're in. And they tend to drive more of what morally is going on, uh, almost like they have the final word on it, and the men acquiesce to them in most cases to whatever it is that they think they should do.
I mean,
That lady was like suffering from shell shock.
Right. But I think that's where a lot of modern people don't understand the dynamic of female power in a patriarchal society.
Right.
the one of the writing flaws in the film to me was the number of people who should know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the
Oh,
west.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I could see like they said, like, well, Bermuda was supposed to be what southeast or something like that.
Depending
Like
on where it was either southeast or southwest, depending on where they were
yeah,
at.
but let's just say
Yeah.
for let's say it was southeast, right?
Hmm.
I could see not knowing if we're going pure south versus southeast, but right, but they got totally flipped around.
Yeah.
Like didn't someone notice the sun all of a sudden setting in a new direction? You know what I mean? It's like
Right. Right.
that was a little like off the not enough to take because this film was to me was about the characters and how they're dealing with the situation, not about them actually getting somewhere or whatever. Yeah, I'm good. Um, and and it was very well done from that perspective. You know,
Right.
uh, now maybe if we're on the boat, we might have done something different. Like I would have voted to throw the German guy back into the ocean in 10 seconds. You know, but um, like that's what Hitchcock does in all of his films. Okay, regardless of what they're about, it's how the characters deal with the situation that it's one of the things that draws you in. You know, so
Hmm. Right. Yeah, and you're right. I thought that too. I was like, you can look at the sun, you can get a generalized bearing of where you're at. Now,
Hmm.
keep maintaining that course. See, so the thing is they were like, oh, our compass got destroyed, so that's why we can't figure out what our heading is, which is people used to navigate on the ocean all the time without a compass. Um,
mhm.
it's not. I mean, it's not precise, but you can do it. Uh, and then but that becomes a thing because the German actually has a compass watch combination that he's hiding from them. So he actually knows what the heading is, and he's trying to get them to go to this instead of Bermuda, which is where the British are, where they would get rescued, and he would go to a jail or a POW camp. He wants to take them to where he knows this submarine supply ship is moored,
Yeah.
um, in which case he would get rescued, and then they're saying they would go to a concentration camp. Uh, I don't now
Remember, this is
maybe
1944
yeah,
with
yeah, right, but they
mass
wouldn't
propaganda going on by
they
both
wouldn't
sides.
right. I don't
Mm.
know if they would even waste time shipping them all back to England or I mean to Germany. Like how? Why would they? You know what I mean? They just I don't know, put them off somewhere, um, or take them to a you know what I mean? But they're not like
A
sending
new,
them to Dachau or something.
drop them on a neutral port
Right. Yeah, something like that. Right.
or
Like
put them to work or something like
yeah.
that. And
Right.
you know,
Exactly.
but
Because here's the other thing, is like like especially like the Navy and stuff like that. They were not known for doing like crazy massacres and you know what I
yeah,
mean, like dumping prisoners in the water and all this kind of stuff. Now the submarines, because of the limited, they did not have the ability to take on survivors, right? Um, so that was an issue. If they torpedoed a couple of boats, they had to leave. Those people are just stuck in the water, um, so they can't like pick them up. But they weren't like going around like running them over or anything. Uh, so I think that if they did get captured by the Germans, it would be relatively safe. Would they go to some kind of prisoner camp or something? Sure, but they wouldn't be going to like you know like a Dachau or something like that. Um, it just the logistics of transporting them there would be unfeasible.
well, no, we know that in reality. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
when this movie was made, propaganda was the
Right.
Germans were
Yes.
the Nazis,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
which
Exactly. Right. And
you
also
know,
that's something that that your average person might have believed. Although here's the other thing. I don't know. This is January of '44. They knew about concentration camps, but I don't think they knew like about concentration camps. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I
So
don't think so.
right. They knew that they were like rounding up prisoners and putting them there, but and like populations and stuff. But I don't think they knew that they were like exterminating people.
I'll look that up.
Yeah, because it wasn't, and I think didn't become widespread knowledge until a lot of those camps physically got liberated and people
Yeah,
actually saw what was happening.
Okay,
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
so the Allies first received credible high-level intelligence confirming the mass extermination of European Jews in late 1942. So there was rumors of it getting out. You
Right.
know,
But I just don't think they had like solid proof.
yeah.
Yeah. And also, you said, yeah, high level intelligence, so they probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have shared
Well, I'm
that with
saying
everybody.
this film was a propaganda film. Is what I'm
Right.
saying.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying propaganda isn't necessarily a bad thing, but some of the characterizations of the German, for example, um, were clearly propaganda level. You know,
Right. Right. Also, I found the character of Joe interesting. Um, in that, so he was like a steward on the ship, which was a job that very many African Americans took, uh, and it was almost like other people did it, but a majority of people that were stewards, like on trains and ships and all kinds of things, were African American, and if especially if they joined the Navy, that's kind of a lot of the things they got assigned to do, um, which you know, good or bad, it was something that was a role that a lot of them filled, and in this movie is the same way. Um, but how they don't like treat him any different than the rest of the people. Like he gets a vote on what they want to do. But interestingly, he says, I would prefer not to get involved in this, which is also something smart because if anything were to happen, it could always come back on him. You know what I mean? That he
um,
had part of the vote or whatever. So it would make sense that he would not want to be. He would like want to stay out of it. You know what I mean? Um, just because he would be wary of how things could go wrong for him if, like, let's say all the other people died except for him, and then they're asking questions. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. I had to look this up because I remember the guy's face, but not. And he was a boxer, Canada Lee. He was a famous boxer at the time.
oh, the
So
guy that plays Joe.
yeah, so I'm presuming they didn't do the traditional, Negro role type of thing where they give him a more, like less glamorous role type of thing because he was a famous boxer. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right. Well,
Yeah.
I think uh, that the way they treated him is more of reality of what was going on, especially because
Yeah.
some of the crew are British, right? So it
Yeah.
wasn't like the crews were all from the deep south or something.
Yeah.
So they have a different perspective. To them, he's one of the crew. He's not,
Yeah.
different or lesser or
Yeah.
whatever. They treat him like one of the crew. Once this guy decides to be in charge, he assigns everybody a role to do, and they make him in charge. They make Joe in charge of the commissary, basically. So he's in charge of securing the food and water and making sure that it is rationed out to everybody. And so that's not a relegated to, obscurity kind of role for what they have on this boat here.
Hey, Jacob, did we do Werewolf of London on this show?
No,
No, not yet.
no, not
Because
yet.
the guy who played Rit played the lead in Werewolf of London.
Who played what?
The lead in Werewolf of London. It's one of the Universal horror films.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're talking about the old one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'll just
Okay.
and he's been in a ton. I mean, a ton of like I don't know, 60 films or whatever. Uh, one of the great Gatsby movies. Oh God, just a ton. Like again, you see so many movies. I recognize that guy. I recognize and you know what I mean. You see these guys' faces, and
I thought
Right.
she
well,
was eating a ice
and
cream
that's the
cone there.
No,
thing I
it's a
love about the movies from before about 20 years ago. Like obviously we're not from this time period, but had we been, we would have recognized all these actors from other movies and stuff, And
Yeah.
you could still have these great casts that all, oh, I'm a fan of that one, I'm a fan of that one. I reckon remember, and you could all talk about that stuff and have good times going to the movies. And that was true up until probably about 2005. You know, where they
Yeah.
had all these great ensemble casts in movies.
Hmm. Right, right. Uh, so that was the other part of the story is that there were 4 containers of food and 4 containers of water, and they were supposed to have enough food and water because I think these lifeboats were supposed to hold some crazy number like 15 or 20 people
Yeah,
at
that's
max
Right.
capacity. So
yeah.
you can really pack them in there. Uh, but 3 out of the 4 containers of food got wrecked because like a shell hit it, and 3 out of the 4 containers of water got destroyed, and the fourth container had a crack in it, and they had to put tape on it. So like half of the water drained out. So they have their rations are very limited to what they should be. Because if they would have had all of their water and all of their food, they could literally probably survive out there for at least 30 days, no problem. Because if you only have this many people on a boat that's designed for 15 or 18, your food and water will go a pretty long way,
Yeah.
especially if you ration it. And they're eating that like hardtack. So
Yeah.
um, I suppose that if you could soak it in salt water to soften it up, you just wouldn't want to, you know, like use too much of it because then it make you thirsty.
Soak it in fish blood. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, they do try to fish, but they don't wind up catching anything because they don't have any bait. But if you could use hardtack for that or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, Also, they want to set so it does have it comes with a mast and a sail, a step mast, so you can set
Mm.
it up yourself, and then but the sail had like all kinds of holes blown in it and stuff. Um, but the sail does kind of work, and so they want to go to Bermuda, and this is where they're trying to figure out what the directions are. And she asked the German if he knows, because maybe he does, and he's like, "Yeah, it's this direction." They're like, "All right, don't believe him. We think it's over here." So they decide to go in the other direction for a while, and then this is where then the other guy is like, "Oh, well, who made you captain?" They're like, "All right, well, let's vote on it then," because he kind of took over the industrial guy. Yeah, here's where they're asking him because she's asking him because she speaks German, so all the conversations between her and him. But he naturally takes a leadership role, and they're like, "Well, why do you think you should be in charge?" And he's like, "Well, I have all these factories and thousands of employees in a corporate setting, so you have to be able to make decisions and lead. Otherwise, why you wouldn't be able to run a industrial empire, you know?" And uh,
They're having a discussion right now about what direction to go,
right, what direction to go, and
and he's
then
coming off as like good guy German.
right,
Shows you
Look
the
at the
dark.
look at the shading that Hitchcock puts on there to
right,
Yeah.
kind of give you a hint of
yeah, he's nefariously telling him to go in the wrong direction. Yep.
And this, for those listening, goes back to our conversation about how did they not know which way is east and west. You
Yep.
know, at least some of them.
Right. So in this picture, the guy way in the back, he is the guy out of the engine room. So he was the first guy picked up. He's like, hey, let's throw this German dude overboard. Let's not trust him at all, or whatever he says. The reporter lady, she's more trusting because she's traveled the world and she's very intelligent and educated. So like she knows she's been around, so she knows like different cultures and stuff. Then you got the industrialist, and then you got Joe, who's just like, "Hey, man, I'm just here to do my job. I don't want to get involved in all the like politics and stuff." Um, but as you notice, she's lost her fur coat.
Yeah, she starts to lose her possessions slowly over the course.
Yeah, yep. Her camera got knocked in the water. Is this the part where the sail knocked her typewriter into the into the drink.
Yeah.
Because she was supposed to be like the ship's log. She was going to keep the ship's log, and then pretty soon after they got the sail set up, it knocked the typewriter into the ocean. But right, she starts to like literally start to lose everything. To where at the end, I thought, man, she's gonna, wind up getting rescued and have absolutely nothing. But you got your life, so. Are you guys still there?
I'm sorry. I thought I got DC.
Oh, yeah, me
Hang on.
too. I was like, it got quiet all of a sudden. I was,
Yeah.
and then yeah. Are you still there, Jacob?
Maybe Jacob got DC'd.
Yeah, maybe he did.
He's on
How about-
mute.
are
You know, when you watch this live, when you see scenes like this,
Yeah.
you can tell there's some sort of like film playing in the background, which is cool. I'm not saying back then's type of special effects and whatever, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
rear projection.
yeah,
It
like
looked
they're not
good
on some.
though. It didn't
Yeah.
look real easy at all.
No, it looks real good.
Yeah.
You know, I think some of the problem is though, 'cause when they like the copy I watched of this was like a remaster high def scan or whatever, and with some of these older movies, unless you can, unless they originally filmed it on extremely high quality, you can then see um the technological flaws in high def, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't like they do like 4K and then high def cleanup, and then it makes the
Yeah.
movie, it loses all of its kind of charm, and yeah,
Yeah.
you're like,
Yeah.
wow, I don't remember the movie
Does.
looking like this.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what they originally filmed it on in terms of film quality. Like some older movies, they filmed in such high quality, you can do like a 4 or 8K rip and it looks beautiful, you know?
Right.
But some of them, I'm gonna guess that when they put this together from clips and overlay and all that, that's maybe some of the backgrounds weren't as high quality as the foreground stuff. But back then you couldn't tell, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I like this sequence. Like a snake, he creeps into the scene, you know?
I was so
German.
nervous for Joe. I was like, "Don't you touch him." I didn't know what he was creeping up for.
I thought it was just to get closer to them so they would get used to him being a part of them.
That's
You
what I
know?
thought.
Yeah.
I didn't think that there was any point where he was going to be like, I'm going to try to, because what would be the purpose of hurting Joe? Nothing. You know what I mean?
Right. But I'm still trying to still trying to feel out where what's the limits for these characters. So I didn't
Yeah.
know. I wasn't sure where this was gonna go, but
Also, as soon as the engine room dude takes his shirt off, then it's all over for the reporter lady.
Yeah.
It's good to see some things never
Yeah.
change. He's like, oh, he's got all these tats on him.
Oh, they telegraphed that romance when as soon as those two started like bitching at each other. Sorry, Jacob.
Yeah.
Bothering
Yeah.
at each other. You were like, "There's the romance," you know.
Yeah. Yeah, but she wasn't like fully committed until, she saw that, and now she's like, oh, he's a bad boy and whatever. And this guy, okay, so his leg got hurt, and so the nurse, and she's a brand new nurse. She hasn't really done anything except her training. She tried to fix his leg, and now it's gangrenous, I guess how you say it. It's got gangrene. Because he's like, oh, my leg doesn't hurt at all. I guess because the nerves are dead. So,
Yeah.
and then here's the next part coming up. And it's like, well, we're gonna have to fix it, and then the the German guy's like, oh, I'm a doctor. I don't.
I can
Have,
fix it.
have they figured out that he's the submarine captain yet?
Not yet.
Not
I
yet.
don't think.
But he's like, yeah,
But
I'm a
yeah,
doctor.
a doctor. Yeah, he
Yeah.
would be. He wouldn't be a
Right. Like,
submarine
would a
captain.
medical doctor actually go into the submarine corps and not be like a doctor on board the ship and be the captain instead? I don't know, maybe, but that seemed a little far fetched to me. Like, trained doctors are, important in war. You just don't want to let him be doing other stuff. Now, if he's like I'm a doctor of economics, then that'd be different.
I can cut his leg off.
But that leg's got to come off. So now they're deciding if they're going to let him do it or not. And then they have no anesthesia because the first aid kit got all messed up too. Which that was a really tiny first aid kit too for a
Yeah,
ship
it
that's
was.
supposed to have that many people on it.
So
Like,
that's busted too.
there might have been multiples of them, and that was the only one that survived. I could buy that. Like, there's like 5 or 6 of them on there. Also, in some of the shots with her, they've got like the soft light filter on. If I'm not mistaken, she was at the time a relatively famous actress, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like all worried that
So
his
this guy doesn't
dancing
want to.
wife won't
Right.
like him anymore.
Yeah. Well, this is his girlfriend, wasn't it?
Yeah, just his
Yeah, that's
girlfriend.
right. His
Yeah.
girlfriend.
And then this Kazulis guy or something. He's like some kind of Armenian dude that's like his nemesis. Because he did answer. He joined some like marathon dance competition. He danced 80 hours, and he always went and danced with this girl, and he doesn't want to lose her, and he doesn't want to, because he's afraid if his leg gets taken off, she's not going to like him anymore. And she's like, don't worry about that. She talks him into it, basically. Can't remember what all she said, but
Yeah.
it was like some stuff. And this guy,
Like,
he's got that one cigar,
some schnapps.
but
Here
he's
you go.
not smoking it. He just keeping it in his mouth and chewing on it the whole time. So she actually had some like brandy or whatever that is in her bag, in that nice crystal flask. So they asked the German guy, like, okay, how much can he drink? And he's like, he can drink as much as he wants. So he basically drinks it all until he's like almost pass out drunk.
That guy there who plays the burly sailor, whatever his name was, he reminds me so much of Martin Landau. Every time I looked at him, I'm like,
Yeah, you're right. In that shot there, he looked like it.
yeah.
So
I think
now,
Martin Landau was like 10 when they made this movie, but
yeah,
it just looks so much like him.
they yeah. So now they got to get him prepped, and they're gonna hey, hold the ship steady, and then the storm blows up out of nowhere while they're trying to do it. Like, the ship has been rock solid the whole time, and as soon as they start doing it, like,
I just got to say something. Navy doctors and nurses who in real conditions of storm at sea can do these like operations and save people's lives. The level of skill to be able to do that is insane. You know,
yeah,
I saw. So there was a movie about where there was some like medical stuff in the movie on a naval vessel, and they had like a doctor talking about it, like in a YouTube reaction or whatever, and like he was describing something like I don't remember the whole thing. It was like 6 or 7 years ago, but like he was operating on a patient, and the wave came up on the ship so hard he was like goes from standing on the side of the patient on the table to standing over him, like leaning down on the table. Like he goes from 0 degrees to almost 90, if is what he was kind of describing. and then the ship came back down the other side of the wave and all that. Like that. Those are crazy operating conditions for anything, but especially for like elite level medical care. Wow, just wow.
Chugging that down too. Then they even knock him out after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, get your leg cut off with no anesthetic.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
but up until the like the 1850s, maybe the 1840s, with like um, what's it called? Ether. Uh, that was like the norm. You had alcohol, maybe poppy juice or something, you know, to kind of knock you out, or opium. But that'd be about it. If you were lucky. The rest of the time, it was just you know, bit
Yeah.
down on some leather or a stick or something.
Do you remember in Black Hawk Down when they were trying to operate on the guy
Yeah.
on his leg and they had almost no anesthesia or anything?
Well, the problem is they had anesthesia, but if they gave him any more, it would lower his blood pressure and he would die from it.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
mean. That's kind of what
Yep.
I meant. And the
Yep.
crazy stuff they had to hold him down and
Hmm.
get their hands in, like again, this field medicine stuff is. And my grandpa, I think I told some. I don't know. I know Jacob and Shieldwall have heard this. The injuries he survived from World War II after hitting with the artillery at the Remagen Bridge, incredible field level medicine had to keep him alive. Then incredible work in the hospital for 5 years. They had a, like, and these are primitive times compared to now, and
Right.
it's a testament to the workers who do this stuff that I, I don't know how to express like how awesome it is. It's just so.
Even by Vietnam, if you could get medevac, because they had that whole medevac system, like really spooled up by that point,
Yeah,
um, where you could go from being wounded on the front to in a hospital in under an hour, and they have the golden hour. If you can get seen by like trauma specialists within an hour of like being shot or whatever it is,
yeah,
yet your chances of survival goes up. It skyrockets, and the number of like people that would survive from from like World War II, it went up some crazy amount, like 60% increase, to where if you were wounded and it wasn't a fatal wound and you could get medevac, you had like almost a 90% chance of survival.
yeah.
And it's even higher now, with modern medicine and stuff like that. So
Now I know this from reading. There's a lot of pressure on that. I think it's called a tiller or something like that.
hmm right.
So you would not be leaning on the deck steadily. There's a
Well,
reason
he's
they lash it down on big ships, but there's a lot of pressure on that to be digging into his side,
yeah.
continually.
Well, he's also got that rope that he's trying to manage the sail with to keep
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
Mission Impossible right there.
yard
Plus
arm.
plus the wave could like snap that one direction and then snap it right back, crush a rib.
Yep. But yeah, so the storm kicks up, and they start like really picking up speed. Probably what they should have done was take the sail down, so it didn't propel them through the water at like 20 knots or whatever it was. But it was a storm, so it kind of pushed him around a little bit. But he struggles with it, and they eventually get the leg off, and so they pull a boot off and throw it on the ground, or pass it back, and then so that It shows you that the leg is gone, but they never actually show any of the leg. There's no blood, nothing like that. They don't show what they did with the leg either. Although I'd have been like, you don't have any bait. I would have cut that leg up and used it as bait to try to get fish.
This little pinky went to market.
Yep. Yeah, this little thing. But you know what I mean? Or,
Yeah.
they weren't anywhere near the point where they were thinking about cooking it up and eating it. But,
I wouldn't if it was gangrene.
yeah. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They weren't.
I cook it down enough.
They weren't desperate
Just kidding.
yet for like food or water yet. They still had all their stuff that was left. So, but yeah, this is
You're like, how are the hocks? Are his hocks still good? His ankles? Can we cut his ankles off and use it?
They were going pretty hard on the water here, throwing it on them.
Yeah.
But it looked really good. Like, yeah, here's where they threw the boot. This was kind of to symbolize that the leg had come off. And it was effective. They didn't have to show like his leg
Yeah.
being sawed at and blood and all this stuff. You got the point. Just like when eventually, that guy meets his demise.
Be so arrogant to think you're just gonna play these people all the way, and he messes up.
Yep, he's pretty sly about it. Dude, he would be hurting so bad after that.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so then he wants a cigarette, and so she opens our cigarette case, and it's the last cigarette. Also, what was interesting is before he went under the knife, he was drunk. He was like, "Give us a kiss," and she did. She kissed him. I think that was because he might possibly die just from the procedure.
Well, I think if this were a real event, he would have died. There's no
Right.
way he would have lived for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, he eventually, because of lack of water and stuff, and then he winds up drinking seawater, which is no good. See, he's actually able to check their course, so he knows right where they're going. And if he really is the captain of the submarine, then he knows how to navigate and all that kind of stuff.
Hey,
How long
Molly.
do you guys think they were on the boat?
I would say 2 or 3 days.
Wait, what? What was the question, Matt?
How long do you guys think they were on the boat
By this point?
I think
to the end of the movie?
Oh, to the end of the movie? I don't know. It looked like it was pretty long. Although after the storm, all their food and water gets thrown overboard, so it can't be that long. Maybe 14 days.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, that's what I
longer.
was thinking. About 2 weeks, give
Yeah,
or
about
take.
2 weeks. Yeah, because if you don't have any food or water, especially if you don't have water, you've got 3, maybe 4 days, and that depends.
Well, I was
if
way
you're
off.
like, you know,
Yeah, you can go. I think it's 2 days without water safely, and then the third and fourth day, your organ starts shutting down.
right. It also depends on the temperature and how much you're sweating and
Yeah,
all that kind of exertion and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But and if you can get moisture from any other kind of, like you're wearing socks that are wet with sweat, and you bring the sweat out and drink that, and, stuff like that. But yeah, you have to have water. Food, you can. It's what before, if you're healthy and at a even a healthy normal body weight, not overweight or anything like that, it's like 21 days I think before you really
Yeah,
start to
before
have
you.
like negative effects.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I was a little food, but well, really, the reason was thinking is because so they're somewhere in the South Atlantic, closer to the U.S., the North America than to Africa and Europe, right?
Right. Yep.
So if they're essentially sailing and then drifting on the ocean, right? And either you're going to drift into sea lanes that are related to Bermuda, the Caribbean, and that southern part of the U.S. and Mexico area, or you're going to drift out into the middle of the Atlantic and die, right? There's no,
Right.
depending on which currents you get caught up in, right? So I'm trying to remember how deeply did the Germans operate into that area? You know?
Uh, they had submarines like off the coast of the U.S.
Oh yeah.
all up
Yeah.
and
No, I
down,
know the subs. I'm
down
saying this.
into the Caribbean, all the way off the coast of Africa, down into down by Patagonia.
Yeah.
So it
No,
was
I
that
know the
whole
subs.
right.
I'm saying there was that supply boat that was, well, that was what I was thinking. With that supply boat we're going to encounter at the end, how deeply they had to be in there to get a supply boat.
Right.
It's just something I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to do some reading on when I'm out of the hospital.
I don't. I don't. I don't think it was really that far away from uh, Bermuda. Like it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like 10,000 miles or something crazy. It was. It had to be close in order for the subs to come back to be able to rearm their. Because mainly what
Yeah,
that ship was for is to give them their torpedoes and food and water and stuff.
yeah.
But mainly
Oh no, I know it was
torpedoes.
four. I'm
Yeah.
just like I said, I'm curious about like I said, I'll have to do when I'm out of this hospital situation. I'll add this to the list of things I want to research that hopefully I will live long enough to get to.
Hmm.
Yeah, he notices here that he can see Venus and Mars, and they're supposed to be, you know, in line with Mars.
Right, because he had a conversation with the navigator or somebody like
Yeah.
at one point, and the guy was pointing out like, "Hey, there's Venus and Mars." So he's like, "We're going in the wrong direction because of the of where they're sitting at
I'll be
in
right
the
back,
sky."
guys.
All right, so he knows like something's not right, but it took him till nighttime to figure it out. Apparently, although if it is a nice clear night and you do know the stars and positions and stuff, it is relatively easier to navigate more precisely. But also the important thing is you got to know your position, and then you got to have a watch or a clock in order to you know navigate. You can go east to west, no problem. It's the north to south part that gets you, or maybe it's the north to south that's easier, and it's the east to west you got to have the timepiece for. That's also. I wonder if that's those stars in the background is just like a blackboard with some little lights, holes punched in it, and some white light shown on the back. Kind of like how they do for like Star Trek and stuff. Are you
I don't
guys still
know.
there?
The
Oh,
haze
okay.
on the horizon still looks pretty like the haze on the horizon tells me it's probably more rear projection.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, you mean that?
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
Right.
Because usually when they go with a sheet, there's still like it's the one solid black
Right.
all the way down.
the other thing is if they're down by Bermuda, um, anywhere north of it or to the to the east of it or the south of it, it's still relatively warm in those locations, depending on the time of year that it is.
Yep. And you can only go to a certain point towards Bermuda before the there's a current that runs up the coast, and it'll carry you north. They'd end up in Norfolk, Virginia, before they ever got to
Thank you.
Bermuda.
Right. Yeah, yeah. That's the thing about Bermuda is it's if you have the rest of the Caribbean, you know, like Nassau and all that, those are a whole bunch of islands that are to the southwest of that. But Bermuda is kind of like out there by itself, like
Yep.
way out there comparatively, because it's like parallel with, I want to say with like South Carolina or something.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, it's like way out in the middle of the Atlantic, like a very far distance from the Bahamas. Matter of fact, I think it's like one of the only islands that are out there before you start getting to the eastern part of the Atlantic.
Yeah, so they're all questioning, does he have a watch or a compass? And so they get the black guy to pickpocket him.
Right, because he used to be a pickpocket. Um, and he's like, no, I'm reformed. I don't want to do it. And they're like, come on, you got to.
It's an order.
This out. Yeah, yeah, it's an order. He's like, okay.
And then right as they call him out, boom, another storm.
And he starts barking orders at him in English.
Right, because now the mask is off, and they're like, wait a second, you could speak English this whole time? And he's like, yes. And they're like, well, why didn't you? And he's like, well, you know, he didn't want it to give away the fact that he knew what was going on. It was always an advantage with him, trying to keep an advantage, get the upper hand, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it is. It is written by Steinbeck. Babs.
What was the question?
Oh, was it written by Steinbeck? It's one of the Hitchcock's writers. He has in a lot of his stuff.
Oh. The same guy that, like, wrote Grapes of Wrath and stuff?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me make sure.
So they did film quite a bit of this on the water. There was lots of like ocean spray. There was mist that was mixed with like oil to kind of create some of the haze and atmospheric conditions that we're going through. All the actors I think had pneumonia at one time, and the lead actor, she actually had it twice.
From the oil and the water was given it to her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Hume Cronin actually, when he gets tossed off in this scene into the water, he actually ended up under one of the wave makers, and he actually cracked or maybe even broke a couple of ribs during this.
Goodness.
Oh, because that thing's just on, like, mechanically moving back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, they had a safety diver.
Yeah. He looks like he's hurting there.
Yeah.
The shots of him, like where you can see his leg, his amputated leg, really
I
good.
thought
I mean,
yeah,
I think
they were.
He's just tucked in. You know, he's got his leg tucked back, but they did a really good job of hiding the rest of his foot.
I could never. My knees are so bad. I could never do that. That would destroy my knee if I bent it that far back under my leg. Like, I'm okay. Like, I can like walk around and stuff, but there ain't no way I could do that.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. They did a really good job. Like I couldn't tell. So they rig up like this like little backrest thing for him. Well, here they last him to the mast so he doesn't like fall overboard again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he fell off, and then a wave like throws him back into the boat.
Yeah, right. Yep. Yep. The sea tossed him back.
Poor Gus.
And like the ship is getting swamped really bad, but it has something called buoyancy chambers on it that even if it like totally gets flooded, um, because those are sealed, it has air in them. I'll think of them like wooden bladders, I guess. The boat will technically not sink. That was one of the design features of the lifeboat.
Now it's like, oh, we all trust the German guy now.
Yeah, and now they've been out here for a while because the industrialist guy actually learned how to play the flute in that amount of time. And then this guy's messing with her hair, and then yeah,
She's being all lovey-dovey because in the middle of the storm, she's like, Kovac is like, might as well, go down together.
right. They thought they were gonna die, so yeah. And this guy's just rowing forever, and he doesn't want to let anybody else row.
I'm like, how do you have so much energy?
Yeah. It's because he's got Pervicin pills, which are, if anybody doesn't know, is methamphetamine that's like industrially made for the
Oh,
German
sweet.
military. It was invented and discovered in the 20s, and it was like a miracle drug. Like, oh man, they started marketing it to like students and anybody that needed to stay awake or a little bit of pep in their step. And the German military like ran on this stuff. They just
And
handed
then
it
people's
out
teeth started falling out.
like literal candy. No, the reason
I'm kidding.
the reason that the meth that's because people are smoking it and it's jacking their teeth up. If you just take
Yeah.
it in the Pervicin pill form, you're fine. I mean, you're still a tweaker, but
Yeah.
you're not doing rock meth out of a
Military
broken
grade
light bulb
meth.
or something. Right? It's military grade. It's pharmaceutically pure. Right? So it's like the crystal blue from Walter White, where there's no impurities and it's industrially made, and it was it looked like a Mentos basically came in a tube,
Yeah.
and it looked like a Mentos mint.
Dude, those commercials would be so wild.
Yeah, I know. And but there's a maximum dose you're supposed to take every day and whatever, and you weren't supposed to use it all the time, but as pressures built on the Germans, they wound up using it more and more often in order to like push their troops. And they were able to do some crazy stuff like march way farther than other people could. The problem is that because you wouldn't get tired from doing it and you could overuse it, you would eventually collapse, right? So there was a story of a whole unit of in winter in Russia, these guys were ski troops. They took a bunch of it and then they skied like some crazy amount, like 100 miles. But then they couldn't fight when they got to where they were going because they were so jacked up from doing all that, and they didn't get tired. What normally would happen is they got tired, they would have had to rest, they would have recuperated and been fine. But because they were so high on this stuff, they just kept going. So in short-term bursts, it was great. It made them real aggressive, assertive, like let's go get it done, to the point where the Allies started using stuff like Benadryl and other things like that to try to make their super soldiers
Yeah.
with it. But they quickly figured out that it wasn't a good idea. But they would give it to like aircrew members, stuff like that. So it had its place. You know what I mean? It's just the Germans wound up abusing it because, especially towards the end of the war, it was like the only thing keeping people going. No food, no water. You got Percocet, you're fine, or Pervicin, or whatever it is. Basically, it's it's the pharmaceutically pure methamphetamine.
Yeah. Gus is
And that's
hallucinating.
that. What I'm saying is the captain has those. Is why he's able to row continuously and doesn't sleep and all this stuff. He has a packet of that.
Gus is hallucinating and
Right.
trying to drink seawater.
Yeah, because he's so thirsty, and
Yeah.
he's already at a disadvantage because his leg was cut off.
Right.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Real? Oh, what's BM? That's the biggest one." Because he had all these other initials that were all the chicks that he had in like every port or whatever. You know, a woman in every port.
Supposedly that's a Alfred Hitchcock bathroom joke for bowel movement.
Yeah. Also, he's been around too because he knows about restaurants in like New Orleans and Philadelphia, and then she's supposedly from like the slums of Chicago, but she was able to like marry her way out, and then basically through force of will, kind of reinvent herself
Yeah.
into something more elegant. Then she wants to use her lipstick to put her initials on there. Something happened. I had like a phone call or something, so I missed this part. Like why he says something or something happens between him, and then he like walks off. And he's mad at her.
He basically thinks she's slumming it, and she won't give up that bracelet.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, he's kind of. I don't know what his problem is.
He's a
Thinks
communist.
She's got the bracelet.
I think he's a communist. In the character.
That he's what? He's a communist?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I thought he was just mad that he couldn't provide her with that stuff, so it made him feel bad.
Yeah. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think he's a communist.
I don't know. I didn't really get those vibes from him. He seemed very anti-authoritarian. Authority.
I don't know. He does seem kind of communist because he seems like very like anti like rich.
Right.
Like he just has this like
Yeah, well, I think
animosity
that's
towards
just
people
'cause
that
of-
have money.
He grew up in poverty, and he was tired of seeing everyone else kind of making it. You know, kind of
Yeah,
like
but-
you work 4 jobs, and then you watch somebody like on OnlyFans make $1 million in an hour.
Yeah, but at the end of the movie, he ends up coming into some money, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna buy you all the things that you're missing now."
Well, okay, so they made a deck of cards out of her like little notepad, and it's just written like two of jacks is written on it, and him and that other guy in the industrialist have been playing for like fake money, and he's like, "How much do I owe you?" And he's like, $12,000. $12,000 in 1944 is a lot of money. You
Yes.
could buy a house for that much, no problem.
Yeah.
And so while they're arguing, he's like, "I'm so thirsty, I'm just going to drink this water." Because they got to, yeah, here they are. And then the industrialist has like this amazing hand, and he's going to win back all his money from this guy and plus more. Because he's to the point now where he's betting like aircraft factories and stuff with this guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, when I'm an aircraft factory owner, I'll make sure all my..." Yeah, you're right. He's talking about all his workers and stuff. Yeah, you're right. This
Yeah.
guy's a commie. But then again, you got to remember that back then it had different connotations as it does now because we don't have news like we do now. So information didn't spread like it does. And it seemed it was still an experiment that was ongoing, right? And they were like, "Oh, you didn't give it enough time to see if it really
Yeah, right.
works." Yeah. And it took like the 1950s for it to come to light, where, Mao starves like 100 million people to death. Through,
They just did it wrong.
yeah, exactly. Well, at this point, you could kind of claim that, things weren't, you know what I mean? Like, we haven't really given it an honest shot, especially since the war kind of screwed everything up. But it isn't until later that you really start to see that it's a failure of a policy.
Yeah, it starts raining, and they're like,
yeah, it starts raining, and they think
That's it.
they're going to gather some water in the sail, which makes sense, but it's like a passing cloud, and it
yeah,
just rained a little bit. I mean, you can still get water off that and start licking it and try to consolidate it into one cup. And that's when this guy's like, oh, well, screw it, I'm going to drink this water.
yeah,
When
yeah,
you drink seawater like that, it actually, if you drink enough of it, it'll go into your cells, the salt, and it'll explode
yeah.
the cell walls, and that's what'll kill you.
Yep.
Well, it'll shut your organs down. It changes the
Yes.
salinity of your blood to greater
Yes.
than
Yep.
that of sea level, and our body biochemistry is balanced around having seawater in our blood. So,
Yeah. And right, and it just makes you more thirsty, and you die quicker. So now he's all delirious and stuff. And then the captain's watching him while he's rowing, and he just lets dude jump in the water. Um, or wait,
No, he shoves him
he
overboard.
shoves him overboard. Oh,
Yeah.
because he saw. Okay, so the captain had some water that he was able to use. He got that whiskey bottle, and before the water went overboard in the cask, he was able to put water in it, and he's drinking it so that he can, hoard it for himself so he can stay alive. Which, I mean, honestly, I don't really blame him. Especially, you're going to give water to this guy. This guy's probably dead anyway. And he's delirious, right? And all the other people are so like exhausted from not eating and drinking that they're sleeping.
Yeah, my only issue with him pushing him overboard is I felt like he was being convincing and talking that guy into like jumping overboard and swimming, and then he pushes him, and that just alerts
Sometimes
everybody.
You can't wait for the guy to
Yeah.
make up his mind. And also, he busted him. He saw that he had water, right? So he had to get rid of him. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, while I was sleeping, I thought I heard him say something about water."
I did enjoy this though.
Yeah.
They all just snap.
He's like, oh, I've done it now.
And they go over to, they're like, "Wait, he's got water on him," and they go to like figure it out, and of course the guy breaks it like a dummy. Like falls on the ground and breaks. Which I don't know. That bottle is pretty thick. I doubt it would break hitting wood like that, unless it was like a metal corner on a seat or something. So they start attacking him, and they want to throw him overboard, but he's like big and strong and stuff. And a lot of them are weakened from no food and water. So they get that guy's shoe and hit him a couple times. But see, they're showing you what's happening without showing you what's happening.
Right. Yep. Took him out.
But now they're all just kind of dejected, demoralized.
Right. Because they were like, "Oh man, he had that meth on him."
We could have had that myth.
Yeah. Again, this is at the point in history when they didn't realize how bad the stuff was for you.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I think in some countries it was still perfectly legal. And people weren't, like, cooking it up in their trailer somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. Like, oh, we finally got rid of that cocaine from the sodas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Replaced it with this nice, wholesome meth.
Yep.
in defense of cocaine, though, from back then, it wasn't much more potent than like weed was.
Right. Yeah.
Like now,
Yeah.
I think it's like every decade since like 1910 or something, cocaine has gotten 20 times more potent or some crazy crap like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
they crossbreed it and all that kind of stuff and
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, they invent new stuff all the time that they have no idea. Look at AI. Look at social media. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well, even weed. I was reading something about 20 years ago. Like,
Yeah, it got way more
um,
powerful.
oh yeah, like dangerously more powerful.
Yeah. So she finally gives up her bracelet to use as bait.
They want to use as bait because the fish will like go to the shiny stuff.
By the way, what kind of fish was this?
It
I
looked
don't
like a
know, it looks
carp
like
to me.
It
Yeah,
did. It looked like a carp.
like a grouper or something.
And they kind of goofed because the bracelet turns into a ring.
I mean, as morbid as it sounds, they could have used the leg they cut off as fishing bait.
That's what I'm saying. I've said that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
they should have kept it and like
Yeah.
cut strips off of it or something.
Maybe cut some pieces off the German guy for bait.
Yeah. Well, they knocked him in the water and he was gone. But there's a lot of things you could have done. A little piece of your jacket or something, you know?
A button.
Yeah, just make it look like a worm.
That was an expensive fish.
Yeah. Oh, so here's what happens, right? So they got this thing on the line, and then they see another ship. Joe sees another ship, and they all are like, oh, we're saved. And they let the fish go, and it falls in the water. I was like, no, pull the fish in so you got something. You guys can start, eating it right away or whatever, because you never know what's going to happen. Anyway, these guys start rowing out, and it turns out it's the German supply ship. So they're like, well, I guess we're all going to concentration camp.
Do they have real coffee?
Yeah, but they're like, they have coffee. Coffee would be the last thing I'd be thinking about. But then they
I
start
would
turning around.
think once they see that their German guys not on the boat, or any of the German people are not on the boat, they'll just leave them out there.
No, see, that's just it. They would pick them up. There's no reason not to.
They would probably logically go back because someone on the radio said there's an American ship causing them.
That's why they go back, is because they immediately start getting fired on by whoever. It might be the
Yeah.
British. But yeah, there is. It's called Red Bull. Yeah, Eraserhead. There was this guy I got into a conversation with in the military. He actually got in trouble for weed, so he was being punished and getting ready to be kicked out. But we had this conversation about it, and he was talking about this, like, there's new strains, bro. There's this one called Golden Goat, and it's got more THC, and they're making it more potent. And he's like, I can't wait to get out so I can go smoke more weed. And I was like, okay, whatever, dude. But now it's still not legal to do it in the military,
Yeah.
but where he was going, it was going to be legal.
Yeah, and that's just the bud. That doesn't, like, the concentrates get up to like 90 something percent.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It doesn't, like,
Not that any of us are advocating drug use or anything.
no, just
Yeah.
saying. That was
Yeah.
just making
We're
a
just
comment.
talking scientific stuff here.
Right.
Yeah.
All he was relaying to me is that there was a new strain they were making or something.
Yeah.
And then, so they're starting to get shelled, and then the ship starts coming right at them because it's trying to get out of the way.
And it's like scraping their boat.
Right.
They probably would have capsized from the wake, but
And as far as like going back to picking them up and stuff like that, if they weren't getting shot at, I think they would have done it. Because here's the other thing: the cultures between the combatants were not that dissimilar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shared religion, background, intermixed histories. The Kaiser of Germany was the grandson of Queen Victoria.
Well, the German military wasn't evil. It was the Nazis that were evil.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That, there was, taking of prisoners and cordiality and things like that. It wasn't all. It wasn't great, no, but it wasn't. It was nothing like the Pacific, where the cultures were so different.
Yeah.
And concepts of surrender and military decorum and things were a lot different.
So they pick up another dude.
Right. Because the
And they
ship
gotta
got
get-
sunk. It got a direct hit. and then he's scared because he's a young kid.
Yeah. He's
And again,
afraid
they
to
were
do
like,
it.
"Well, let's throw him back," and then he's like, "No, he's a prisoner," and he pulls a gun, and somebody
Yeah, I would have
knocks.
taunted him back.
Yeah, and then of course the reporter lady like knocks a gun out of his hand. So, or no, was it Joe? It was Joe that did it. Okay, it was her that picked it up, and threw it in. Anyway,
Here's his boxing reflexes.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, and Rit was ready to throw down. He
right.
went from being pacifist to
Yeah, and then that one guy was like, "Let's throw him back. Let's throw him out of here." But for 1944, I think a lot of what was in this movie flies in the face of what everyone is like conditioned to think about how things were back then
Right.
these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the way people were treated and things like that. So
Well, I think Hitchcock gave us a interesting character drama about an event that, I mean, people did survive on these boats. What was it?
hmm
Were we talking about 45 days or some crazy one before? Or, you
right,
know,
one of the guys, the industrialist, was talking to the other guy, and he's like, "Oh, this is the second time I've been torpedoed, or third time." And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, how long were you out at sea?" And he's like, 44 days before I got picked up. There's stories of people that were out there like 60, 70, 80 days
yeah,
before they got found.
yeah.
Here it is, buy your war bonds in this theater.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I guess Hitchcock got his sort of quirky character exploration being on while doing a war propaganda movie in some ways. So, best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, I,
Yeah.
I think that it was a pretty decent character study.
Yeah.
Um,
I just enjoyed the bottle um like the bottle episode. Like everything is happening there on the lifeboat. Like
Right. Yeah.
I was shocked to see that coming from a film in 1944. Like um it's so well done. It reminds me of what was that elevator movie, Devil, where everybody's trapped inside the elevator. But even that, there's like outside shots of characters. This is completely dedicated to these characters on the boat and what they're
Yeah.
going through.
Well, it's a
Agreed.
Hitchcock movie. It's always excellent production.
Hmm.
There was a so when I first saw you wanted to do this film, Jacob, it took me a while to remember what movie it was. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so another movie, I can't remember the name of it, but there was another movie kind of like this that was made in the 50s or 60s, I think, about survivors on a lifeboat in World War II or something like that. I don't remember, but so these films pop up every so often, you know. So I guess it's always interesting, and you say to yourself, if you were in that circumstance, what would you do? You know, um, like I remember in a I think it was another World War II film from maybe the 70s where the Germans sunk a boat, and there were a lot of people on the lifeboat, and also people tethered to the lifeboat around it, and eventually some people started just jumping over and sacrificing themselves because there were just too many people for the boat to sustain. You know,
hmm
Mm.
it's a very man. I'd never want to be in this circumstance, but oof.
Yeah.
Other than for sure,
Sailors.
I'd get the German back. That's for sure.
Sailors actually had a cookbook to, what person do you cook for eat first? You know,
There was I know I've seen one where it was it was like it was a period piece where it was like the 17th or 18th century, and they had to draw straws or whatever as who was going to get killed or get off the boat or whatever while they were out there.
Yeah,
they were deciding who to eat.
Yeah, well, and then and it was like a young kid that wound up getting killed, and he wound up eating them. That was like, oh, was it it was like a mutiny on the Bounty or something? I think
It was something like it
it was
was.
something like that, right?
There was
Where
uh, what was that movie? Chris Hemsworth was in it. It was about the whalers.
Right.
It was like
Yeah.
the true story of
Right. Yep.
Moby
exactly.
Dick.
Of Moby Dick. Yep. And what Moby Dick was based off of was something where a whale actually sunk a ship, and they wound up going to. They were on the sea for like 40 or 50 days. They made it to this island. It had like loons and all kinds of other birds and stuff on it, and but they were running out of food after they were there for a couple of weeks. So some of them decided to stay on the island, and everyone else got on the boats and left and said, "We'll send somebody back for you." And
That's
then
it, Molly.
they had this
Heart of the
long,
sea.
big journey, and it took them 3 years to actually go back to that island. And out of like the 6 guys that stayed, only 2 were still alive, but they managed to live there for 3 years, off of just like bird eggs and whatever crabs and
Yeah.
stuff they could find. And I want to say they wound up getting picked up. Not even that guy wasn't even able to go back and save him. I don't think it was something else. Somebody else found him.
I think in one of the Horatio Hornblower movies I reviewed before I had to stop everything, I think they got like on a lifeboat at some point. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and like review when I get back in so I can finish that series off. So I have to go back and watch my own reviews, But it does come up and stuff. Guys getting shipwrecked and how they deal with it. This is a sad. So one of my favorite zombie novel series is the Black Tide Rising series, and at some point, like the main family sets out to sea to escape the zombie apocalypse on land. So they start rescuing other people at sea, but they find a lot of people who starve to death or don't know what to do long term. And one tragedy is they find a life raft where like a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old were put on board by their parents from the sinking ship that they were on. And they had tons of food, but the one thing they ran out of was water because they had a solar still, but they couldn't figure out how to get it working.
Mm.
And that was a tragedy of the zombie apocalypse and all that. The poor kids had everything, they could have survived for weeks, but they tried to get it working, but they couldn't. They did survival at sea stories. Then again, it's like anything else. Like people who survive, horrible winters in certain places or whatever. How they, and surviving in extreme conditions was, I guess, it's part of the human condition, and we're all fascinated by stories of how people do it or don't do it.
Yeah. So that was a good movie. I thought it's an enjoyable movie. It's thought provoking.
Yeah, definitely.
Thought provoking. It was a good length, only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
A nice, diverse cast of characters. And you know what kind of reminded me of, in terms of the character diversity? 12 Angry Men.
Yeah.
How you had different opinions from everyone, and they'd argue and try to resolve something logically. And some people would try to use threats, uh, and how it's just. But again, Hitchcock is a master of that character work. So
Yeah, he is. He is. But yeah, we'll go around the horn and see what we got coming up. The Shieldwall.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on. It was great. This was a good movie to review. A lot of interesting conversation. And it's great being on here with Travis and Matt. And you, of course. And thanks to the chat. Having people in the chat talking about weed. and but it was applicable to the story. So they explained how the captain was able to row nonstop. Anyway, on Thursday I'll be on Room of the Empire's channel, and we will be going over, I think it's 1980 movie, Battle Beyond the Stars, I believe.
84? Was it 84?
It was before
yeah,
that.
it was 82 or 83.
Was it 82 or 83? Okay, I thought it was a little older than that. But Battle Beyond the Stars, which I have never seen before, so I might have
It's a
seen
fun one.
pieces of it and didn't realize, like on TV or something. But I'll
Yeah,
actually have to sit down and
you'll
watch
see
the whole thing.
where Zack Snyder stole the
Yes.
idea for his movie. That
Um.
was terrible.
Oh, the something moon or whatever it was.
Yeah, Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh. Yeah. The trailer for that movie was halfway decent, and the rest of it was just hot, the hottest of garbage. It was
Red Bull
terrible.
was horrible.
Yeah, it was really bad. Like, I don't know, it sucked. But
It was like everything Zack Snyder could possibly do wrong in a film at the same time.
yeah, exactly. And then it had the second part, which I didn't even bother even
Nope.
looking into.
Garbage.
Yeah, but
Yeah, you're
anyway,
right. It's 1980.
yeah, I thought so. It had like the guy from John Boy in it or whatever.
Yeah.
From the Walls.
Yeah, can't
Yeah,
remember.
the cast. Oh, I mean, you get me into one of my favorite a movie I could talk about for 6 hours.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold it here and save it for Thursday. But
Well, he was also in the like the 1970s All Quiet on the Western Front, which I thought was the 70s one is
Robert
superior
what
to
is
the
it?
new one. The new one
Robert
was
Thomas or something like that.
right. Yep.
Well, he's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
You've seen him. Then again, if you've watched enough, you've seen all of those actors. So
Right.
George Papard, Robert Vaughn, the guy from the Avengers.
The Avengers, like the 60s TV show.
Yeah, the
Avengers?
60s. Rob
Yeah.
Patrick McNee.
Yeah.
Patrick McNee. You've seen all of those actors somewhere before.
Yeah, so anyway, I got that 5 Pacific Standard Time on Thursday on Roman the Empire's channel. Be going over that movie, so that should be fun. And then I can't remember when I had the schedule. What were we doing next week on this channel? We're doing Babylon 5, right? The first episode?
Pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pilot. Yep.
Yep.
That'd be
The
fun.
pilots. Yep. Be a good time. Matt,
Well,
do you got?
hold on a second. There's noise in here. Get me for that.
Okay. Travis?
Let's see. Yeah, I need to do some. I need to start getting back into the final of Stargate Universe and finish that up. I'm getting close to the end there, so watch out for some shorts on that one. And yeah, other than that, I'll be here next week for Babylon 5: The Gathering. This is actually the first time I've seen the pilot episode.
Oh, cool.
So I'm excited about that. It's in my box set, so I was
Awesome.
happy.
Nice.
I was happy about that. But yep.
Yeah, Eraserhead and the Eclectic Goat will be joining us for that.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, that'll be fun. You there, Matt?
Yeah, I'm here. So what do I got coming up? Tomorrow, Wednesday night is overbooked with Joker Voice, Ego, who just had his baby, by the way. Ego and Shiro had their baby last week. So congratulations to them. And of course, Brad and possibly Larry will be on. And we'll be talking, we're doing our mid-year top fives of best match, wrestler of the year, male and female. I was talking about some other things going on in the world of wrestling. And obviously, Thursday, as Jacob, Shieldwall, and I will be on Roman's show for Battle Beyond the Stars, Roger Corman's sci-fi remake adaptation of The Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa. And it is probably one of the 2 or 3 best adaptations of that movie story. So it is a far better movie than people will give it credit for just looking at a glance, you know.
Yeah.
Then I unfortunately will not be here next week for Babylon 5 because I am an outsider looking in. Darn you, Jacob. Darn you. But I will try to watch the show live. I'm a longtime Fiver since Babylon 5 came out back in the versus days of the internet when we go on forums and have debates over which ship could be which ship and and so on and so forth. Babylon 5 lore was my thing, one of my things. Um, and oh, here's something funny. I think the next time I'm on your show, Jacob, is for The Quiet Man.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I was doing physical therapy today, which was a pretty good session. I sat at the edge of the bed for the first time completely. Um,
Nice. Good job.
Talking to my therapist, and he asked me what's going on, and tell him I go online with my friends in the night, and we talk about stuff, movies, and they asked. I said, well, and I gave a movie they would have heard of. I said, well, I'll be doing The Quiet Man in about 2 weeks, and they both go, "What's The Quiet Man?"
Oh,
I
goodness.
cried inside. I just cried.
Well,
And one was a young girl, but the other
yeah.
woman was like older than me. She's like almost 57, and she had heard of it, but she never watched any of John Wayne's movies. But they promised. I told them it's one of the objectively, not even saying one of my favorite movies of all time, is one of the 5 best movies of all time. And I said, you guys got to watch this movie, even if you don't want to watch any other John Wayne or John Ford film ever. You got to watch it. And so it was just funny when they both said at the same time they had never seen it, and the young girl never even heard of it.
You can't really blame a younger person for that these days with all the other nonsense that's out there.
Well, I don't blame them. But on the other hand, like as we age and we learn, we see like certain things seem lost that shouldn't be lost.
Yeah.
I can understand not seeing The Longest Day or something like that when you're 20 years old, but like The Quiet Man, it's like the Star Wars. It's like the Star Wars of romantic comedies. You know what I mean? It's anyway. I can learn that. We'll talk about it when we get there too, Jacob.
Yep. Definitely. Would be good. What is this?
We live for the one, we die for the one.
Ah.
Wait, I'm going to give you. I won't say what context this is, but those of you doing Babylon 5, you're going to have to choose sides between purple and green. You're going to have to choose purple forever, green for the never.
I'm wondering. I don't know if I've ever seen the pilot episode before.
Really?
I probably have. I don't remember. I remember picking it up like on TV because I was overseas when it came out, so
Yeah.
it was hard to get the episodes.
Yeah. They
it had been out for like
refined
6
some
months or
things
something.
from the pilot to the actual series. They refined some of the alien characters that I'm glad
Yeah.
they did. That it works better.
It's best to think of the pilot as version 1 of Babylon 5, and the first season as version 2, and the rest as version 3.
Yeah.
Just because of
Right.
how involved.
I just don't remember seeing the very first.
Well, they didn't replay it a lot.
Yeah.
When it was in syndication before Time Warner put it on TNT and TBS, they would rarely play anything but the 1-hour TV show. Because syndication, you had to buy your hours, basically.
Right.
And then when it went on TBS, that's when they started showing the original movie, and they made the other couple of movies, plus Crusade.
Because I remember the way, in the early '90s, how you found out about stuff before, like, the internet was really a thing. I mean, if you're like Matt and you were like keyed into all this stuff, you had message boards and all that. But your average person, like me, I was in England. They didn't have any of that
Yeah.
stuff. It was all word of
Yeah.
mouth. It was word of mouth from like people at work
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Be like, hey man, did you see this or whatever?
Well,
That's
well-
how I found out about Blade. I was originally not going to go see it because I thought it was going to suck. And they were like, no, dude, it's awesome. You got to go see it. So I went and saw it, and I knew it was going to be a good movie in the first 5 minutes when he spiked that dude's head to the ceiling. I was
Yes.
like, all right, this is going to be a good movie.
There used to be a thing called Usenet, USENET,
Uh-huh.
and JMS was all over it. He's the creator of Babylon 5 and owner of it.
Yeah.
And you could, if you type in JMS Usenet archive, there's a big archive out there of all of his Usenet posts, which he talks about background stuff behind Babylon 5, answers questions from people.
It was all
Like,
text only, though, right? You couldn't upload photos
Yeah.
or nothing back then.
Yeah, it was all text.
Yeah.
Well, there was a way to do that, but he didn't obviously do that because it was a copyright violation. But Like there were ways through like using that to get links and download whole movies and stuff like that.
Oh,
You know,
really? Okay.
yeah, there was. Believe me, there was always a way. You know, like, but yeah, they would hide like FTP links in Usenet posts, and you get like if you read it down the left side, you type out what was on the left side and or an FTP and browse to someone's FTP post where they posted like Star Wars or whatever. You know, um, but anyway, Babylon 5. I'll try to chime in and drop some deep lore stuff for you guys as you go along. You know.
I think
And
one
then,
thing we talk about is how you've gone over the graphics, how the computer technology was basically invented
Oh
for it.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a
So
good conversation, I think.
yeah, I'll try to drop the details on.
Yeah.
Uh. Oh my God, my brain is locking up right now. Um.
I just remember you talked about it before, and it was really
Yeah.
interesting. So I
So
think
it
that'll be something
used to
good.
be that software to make 3D graphics for movies or whatever. Like when they made Jurassic Park, which is a similar time period, it was a room full of mainframe, just and it took like weeks to render like a 15-minute chunk of Jurassic Park or whatever. Then they made a software called Lightwave 3D, which was runnable on a desktop computer, and they used that to render Babylon 5. And Babylon 5 was the proof of concept for the software, and it revolutionized. Like us doing this online is a descendant of Lightwave 3D
Hmm.
in terms of the slot,
mm,
meaning that now we have desktop computers that will render this stuff because of the work they did to produce Lightwave 3D. You know, so when people complain about Babylon 5's, you know, crappy graphics, and if you I don't know if you hear the air quotes, they don't understand the revolution. Like when you saw Babylon 5 with Lightwave 3D, and then say watch Deep Space Nine where they were using mainframes to do that stuff at the same time or whatever, you know, like night and day in terms of how like the cost for the graphics for Babylon 5, so much less, but so much more in terms of like the revolution it led to in terms like for people to do graphics without supercomputers.
Yeah, and it wound up looking really good too, especially for the time. If you
I
were,
think it looks,
yeah, it still holds up.
I, yeah, it holds up.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah, and it was full CG models that they were using
right.
yeah.
in the
yeah,
episodes where Deep Space Nine had the benefit of, um, models being
They were
shot.
using practical models,
Yeah.
which were
Yeah.
way
yeah,
more expensive too. Um,
yeah.
yeah, Ray
It-
Smith
it-
says he believes it
um,
was like one third the cost. So they were able to
yeah.
do bigger space battles because towards the middle of the show, they were getting some really big, really cool space battles
Oh
going.
yeah, Battle of
Yeah.
Coriana 6.
Yeah. Yep.
Uh, you know, rules Babylon 5 for dollars for donuts, as they say,
Hmm.
has the best space battles of any type sci-fi TV show ever.
Yeah,
There
some
have
really
been
good ones.
modern TV shows that have more well done in terms of like high level graphics or whatever, but in terms of depiction of the battle, combining technology with logic. And if you want to understand the in universe mechanics of how they had the ships fighting and stuff, JMS had a game called B5 Wars Commission that was a tabletop war game. That the rules for that game and the lore in the game is part of Babylon 5. And the guys who did the special and practical effects of Babylon 5 used those rules to regulate how powerful various ships were, what the ranges of weapons were that they would depict, and stuff like that. You know,
Hmm.
uh, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good. I think maybe the only other show that I seen that had like a really like hardcore setting of rules like that was The Expanse, with the way
yeah,
that
Expanse is good too,
yeah,
like
ship
that.
to ship combat worked in that, which was even more realistic than yeah. So anyway, yeah, so we got that coming up. So tune in for that.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be a good time.
You all will enjoy yourselves.
Yes. Thanks for the people in the chat. Had a good uh, bunch of people. They had Eraser and Adam and Babs and Molly was there for a little bit. Zax. Who else? I think we had Frank in here earlier. Yeah, Frank Gigglesnbits. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks to the panel. There was a good discussion and enjoyed it. Well, everybody, I hope everybody has a great week and be good. And we'll see y'all next time. Later, everybody.
All I can say, McKay, is you take a hell of a long time to say goodbye.
Well, so long. So long.
See you around, Burton.
Never can tell.
Good boy.
Happy trails, Hans. Goodbye.
Good boy.
Goodbye, bro.
Goodbye, Arab!
Goodbye, Northman.